The national news desk, locally covered, nationally connected.
Well, at first I just thought it was one balloon pop, but then it just kept on going down the line.
Reliving a nightmare, students recall the scene and a new update on the victims, as well as the investigation into the life of the shooter.
This administration is committed to the eradication of organized street violence in the United States of America.
Washington, D.C. crime is down following federal action. The next city being targeted for cleanup, and why local legislators say it's unnecessary. And then a legislative loophole for certain packages has ended. What this means for online shipping giants and their customers. This is the National News Desk, America's News Now. I'm Taylor Murray. 7 victims remain hospitalized 2 days after the deadly mass shooting at a Minneapolis Catholic church. 1 child remains in critical condition tonight. 2 young children are dead and 18 others injured after a lone gunman fired into the morning mass service. And we are learning now that more about the terror the children witnessed Wednesday morning.
We were singing a song, and then I just saw glass shattering going down the line, and we were hiding underneath the pews. Thankfully, some of my friends are okay. Some of them got grazed or something.
And as the victims and families and the community, of course, continue to grieve and seek healing, the investigation continues. Minneapolis police executing at least 4 search warrants, retrieving digital evidence and talking with people who knew the suspected shooter, including the father. Police say they have been unable to reach the mother, Mary Grace Westman, who, according to reports, has hired a criminal defense attorney. And we are learning new details about an ongoing investigation in our nation's capital that authorities say prevented a potential school shooting that could have mirrored what happened in Minneapolis. Agents from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, also known as ATF, say they placed a teen under arrest Wednesday when they searched their home and found multiple firearms. The ATF was alerted to a social media post referencing a threat to an unnamed D.C. public school. In a new court filing, federal prosecutors say accused healthcare CEO killer Luigi Mangione is inspiring others potentially to embrace violence. They point to the deadly shooting last month at the NFL headquarters with another gunman's note blaming the league for brain injuries. Prosecutors argue Mangione has cultivated followers and normalized violence over debate. Mangione has pleaded not guilty to murder and stalking charges. There's no ruling yet in the lawsuit Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook filed against President Trump for firing her over mortgage fraud allegations. During today's hearing, Cook's lawyers blasted the Justice Department's case that Trump had cause to remove her. And some say the Fed is in a legal bind.
The Fed is caught between a rock and a hard place. It probably takes the view legally that the president did not have sufficient cause to remove Governor Powell. On the other hand, it has this instruction from the President of the United States to remove her.
Cantor, who you just heard from, mentioned Chairman Powell mixing his name with Board Governor Lisa Cook. It's not clear when the judge will decide about Cook's request for a temporary restraining order to keep her seat. Today, the Fed said it would defer to the court, noting that it wants a prompt ruling. Former Vice President Kamala Harris is losing her Secret Service detail. Senior White House officials say President Trump directed Homeland Security to end the services Monday. Vice presidents usually have the protection for 6 months after leaving office, but a source says President Biden signed a directive to extend Harris's detail to 18 months. A Harris advisor says she's grateful for the Secret Service's unwavering commitment to safety. U.S. lawmakers are speaking out against a criminal investigation by the Bureau of Land Management into 2 firms helping to control the Bear Gulch fire that's in Washington state. Now, it led to 2 arrests and the termination of the firm's work contracts. According to U.S. Border Patrol, who provided assistance, agents found 2 firefighters were in the U.S. illegally, one with a previous order of removal. U.S. Senator Patty Murray denounced the move, calling it fundamentally sick.
This is not public safety. This is attacks on community members.
Incident commanders at the Bear Gulch fire say firefighting operations were not impacted by the recent contract terminations or the arrest. Well, tonight, Chicago is bracing for the presence of federal troops on city streets with an immigration crackdown that may look a lot like what happened on the streets of Los Angeles over the summer. While city and state leaders say they have yet to be contacted by anyone in the White House, all signals are pointing to it happening nonetheless. National correspondent Christine Frizzell has more.
The next phase of the Trump crime and immigration crackdown could begin as soon as next week in America's third largest city of Chicago.
Chicago still has a crime problem. So President Trump, again, made a promise to American people we'll make this country safe again.
Plans for a military deployment to the city have been underway for weeks. According to the Washington Post, the effort expected to focus largely on illegal immigration.
We're going to take the assets we have and move them to problem areas like sanctuary cities where we know for a fact they're releasing public safety threat, illegal aliens to the streets every day. That's where we need to send the majority of the resources.
Those resources may include this military base outside of Chicago, requested to be used to assist immigration and customs enforcement in their efforts. Since National Guard troops arrived in Washington, D.C. earlier this month, immigration-related arrests have skyrocketed. Like this Mexican national, ICE says had previously been arrested for sex crimes against a child, one of more than 400 ICE arrests in Washington, D.C. in 3 weeks. Leaders from the Chicago area speaking out.
Of those who have been deported, fewer than 1 out of 10 have any criminal record whatsoever. They're doing their best to be good citizens, paying their taxes, raising their kids, going to the same churches we attend, and they expect us to stand up for them, and we should.
As some Republican leaders are being questioned about why their cities with higher crime rates are not being targeted with troops.
Just consider Speaker Johnson's state and district. Just look at the murder rate. That's nearly 4 times higher than California's.
The president has said he wants to send the Guard to Chicago and other places. Why not Shreveport?
I don't know. That's not my call.
Would you
it may
ask
be
him
necessary.
for that?
Well, I don't know. Let's take one city at a time and see.
The Trump administration has made it clear we should expect a ramp up in operations, naming not only Chicago, but New York, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, and Baltimore, all cities with Democrats in charge. I'm Christine Frizzell for the National News Desk.
Texas is now more red in the United States Congress.
Texas's new congressional voting map is now law. The map redrawn in the state's special session could swing as many as 5 seats towards the Republicans in the 2026 midterms. Texas Democrats are pledging to challenge the new map in court. At least one lawsuit has already been filed. In response, California Democrats have redrawn their map to create 5 new Democratic seats, but that map needs to be approved by California residents in a special election this November. The Education Department says Denver Public Schools violated Title IX by adding all-gender restrooms. The department investigated Denver's East High School after the school district turned a girls' restroom into an all-gender one and kept another bathroom on the same floor for boys only. The department says it told the district to change the all-gender bathroom back within 10 days. The district says it's determining next steps. The New York City Health Department has declared the Legionnaire's disease outbreak in Harlem to be over. Now, there have been no new cases in the last 2 weeks, but a 7th death connected to the bacteria was actually confirmed yesterday, and at least 114 people contracted the illness over the summer, hospitalizing 90 of them. 6 people remain hospitalized. Maryland Governor Wes Moore is raising his national profile by taking on President Trump over the White House crime crackdown. But now the governor is facing questions of his own about this time about discrepancies in his military record and life story. Our national correspondent Kayla Gaskins reports.
This past week, the national spotlight shining on Maryland's Governor Wes Moore.
I think what the President of the United States is doing, it is not sustainable.
As he spars with President Trump over the federal crackdown on crime.
Baltimore is a hellhole.
Moore arguing Baltimore doesn't need the National Guard's help.
Baltimore and the state of Maryland have had amongst the fastest drops in violent crime anywhere in the United States.
The attention raising Moore's political profile, his name even being thrown around as a possible 2028 contender. But standing at center stage also means more scrutiny of his past, like when he lied back in 2006 about receiving a Bronze Star for his military service. Trump bringing up the stolen valor accusations on social media. Friday morning, Moore issuing a statement calling the Bronze Star lie an honest mistake.
Why did you let it go on, even if it was a mistake, for years and years and years as you were celebrated as having a Bronze Star?
I'm very proud of my service to this country.
It's not the first time Moore is accused of bending the truth about his biography. During his run for governor, it came out that years worth of claims he's a Baltimore native.
You were born in Baltimore, is that right?
Yeah, I'm a Maryland guy.
To the point where he wrote about being from West Baltimore in his book were false.
We know that you weren't born and raised in Baltimore. You didn't grow up in West Baltimore. So why did you let that narrative continue for so many years?
Well, I don't think I'd let the narrative continue.
Fox 45 in Baltimore reporting Moore was actually born in Washington, D.C. and lived in the suburbs outside D.C. He attended prestigious schools in New York City and Pennsylvania, never living in Baltimore until he attended Johns Hopkins University, finally admitting so when it became an issue during his campaign for governor.
I'm not a Baltimorean by birth, but I'm a Baltimorean by choice.
I'm Kayla Gaskins, reporting for the National News Desk, America's News Now.
Coming up, inflation did not increase, but in a new report, there's a warning signal hidden in the numbers. We'll explain. Then more information about Jeffrey Epstein could be coming out soon. An update from House Speaker Mike Johnson. Also on the way, how transnational fraudsters are secretly enrolling in college classes in the U.S. and stealing millions of dollars. We'll be right back. Here is a live look over New Orleans, marking 20 years since Hurricane Katrina made landfall. The Category 3 hurricane hit in 2005. The damage to the levees resulted in massive flooding in the French Quarter, and you may remember nearly 1,400 people were killed across 5 states. The storm caused an estimated $200 billion in damage. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, it is the costliest U.S. hurricane on record. A federal judge has ruled President Trump does not have the authority to enact sweeping tariffs, but has left them in place for now, allowing the administration time to appeal to the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, shipments coming into the U.S. valued at less than $800 are now subject to higher taxes. The de minimis rule exempting small value packages from tariffs ended at midnight. E-commerce giants like Amazon and Etsy have been using this backdoor to get around tariffs. Experts say the change will have a big impact on companies that assemble products outside the U.S.
This is going to have implications for a lot of Canadian businesses, and it's coming at a time where you don't necessarily have a lot of resilience in the small business sector.
The Trump administration says the move will help rebalance trade, crack down on illegal drugs coming in, and encourage people to buy American-made products. Critics worry companies could pass on higher expenses to consumers. Inflation is holding steady for now. According to new Commerce Department data, in July, prices were up about 2.6% compared to a year ago. That's the same as it was in June. Now, there was a warning signal, though. The underlying inflation figures, stripping out food and energy, rose 2.9%, up from the 2.8% seen in June. And despite that increase, Americans continued spending in July, especially on cars and financial services. New numbers show consumer spending was up 0.3% from June, with inflation factored in. That's a bigger jump than in the previous monthly period. Israeli Defense Forces recovered the bodies of 2 slain hostages, including 56-year-old Elon Weiss, seen here. In an overnight operation, the IDF says they didn't say where the bodies were found, but it coincides with a new military operation inside Gaza City, where Israel believes the remaining hostages are held. Now, the second set of remains has not been identified. Weiss's wife and daughter were also abducted on October 7, 2023, but were released in November of 2023 in the first ceasefire agreed to by the warring parties. Israel believes there are 48 hostages remaining. As few as 20 are still alive. Now, members of the Palestinian Authority as well as the Palestine Liberation Organization have had their visas denied and revoked for the upcoming UN General Assembly next month by the State Department. Spokesperson Tommy Pigott has this to say on X. He says, quote, the PLO and PA must completely reject terrorism and stop pursuing the unilateral recognition of a hypothetical state before they can be seen as partners in peace. The Palestinian Authority is calling on UN Secretary General to overrule this decision. Meanwhile, members of the Palestinian Authority's mission to the UN will receive waivers to attend the General Assembly. This comes as many UN member countries said they will support Palestine as a recognized United Nations state. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson says there will probably be some kind of vote on releasing more information about Jeffrey Epstein. However, Johnson says this might not be a top priority because the Trump administration officials have already given lawmakers more information about the late convicted sex offender.
But we're for maximum transparency. With the Epstein files, I've been saying this for years. We've been intellectually consistent from day one. And over this break, over the last couple of weeks in August, the Department of Justice and the administration have been fully compliant with Congress's subpoenas, and they've submitted over 34,000 Epstein documents already. Our House Oversight Committee is doing their due diligence so that we can release it all. But they're going through carefully to make sure that the victims of these horrific sex crimes, let's be frank about it, are not exposed.
Listen up. Certain eggs are being recalled because of a salmonella risk. The recall includes large brown cage-free eggs from the California-based company Country Eggs. The cartons have sunshine yolks or omega-3 golden yolks written on them. Officials say at least 95 people in 14 states actually got sick after eating them, and over a dozen people were hospitalized. The eggs were sold from June 16th to July 9th. And check your refrigerator for this. A popular salad kit is being recalled in 25 states due to allergy risk. The Taylor Farms Honey Balsamic Salad Kit by Taylor Fresh Foods may contain undeclared sesame and soy allergens. Now, the affected salad kits have code dates starting with TFRS and best if used by dates through September 4th. If you have these products, throw them away, or you can actually return them to the place of purchase for a refund. We have reporters all across the country and your neighborhoods covering issues that matter to you. We're taking the pulse of America, and we start in Rhode Island, where a community college is bringing its nursing program to the next level.
Mama Ann is the latest addition to the nursing sim lab at this community college campus in Rhode Island.
We ended up with a grant from the Champlin Foundation, so we were able to really build it and to be extremely realistic.
A win for the nursing students.
We get to get hands-on experience.
It's so realistic to work with these mannequins. They have real lung sounds, heart sound. All right.
You have her? Are you holding her?
Yeah. Congratulations.
A debrief after helps them sift through what they've learned.
We'd rather them make any mistakes that they're going to make here than in the real world.
Dozens of people are here at the church helping dig out the building after a severe rainstorm last night, where this mudslide went down the road and into the church.
I was worried, actually,
Heavy rain pounded this Provo neighborhood.
It rained, very hard for about 30 minutes.
And it triggered a mudslide in the Buckley Draw fire burn scar, sending a thick debris down the mountain. One of the people who caught it all on video and witnessed the slide, Brian Hopkins, the stake president.
I don't even know how to describe it, just mud everywhere.
Community members like Laura Thompson answered the call, bringing shovels and buckets to dig out the place of worship.
Meet Romeo, a 170-pound humanoid that walks, runs, and learns. He's built by one of many engineers who want humanoids to both be useful and affordable. Ramiro Gonzalez was brought to the United States as a child. Under DACA, growing up, he discovered a passion for technology and problem solving. That passion led him to UC Merced, where he earned a degree in computer science and engineering.
I created Merced Robotics because I was always into robotics when I was in college.
Public reaction is mixed. Some are thrilled, some are nervous.
That robot was pretty cool. All right, coming up, criminals known as ghost students are stealing up to $1 billion of taxpayer money per year. How the scheme works and what's being done about it right after this. The U.S. Department of Education is starting an aggressive effort to crack down on what's been described as unprecedented fraud. Criminals often living overseas are stealing millions of financial aid dollars. Spotlight on America's Christine Frizzell reports it stems from a little-known problem called ghost students.
They are literally haunting our nation's colleges and universities. So-called ghost students, often part of transnational criminal organizations, enrolling in classes and filling up spots, many times resulting in wait lists and a loss of available financial aid for legitimate students.
They're really using people's identities. They're using fake identities. They're using whatever they can to get in.
Talk about the impact on actual real students who want to apply and attend classes at your university and get an education.
The classes get full. And so they're getting blocked out of classes to be able to do this because we get so many fraudulent students or these ghost students who come in and take the seats out of the class.
Jasmine Rise is the vice president of student services at College of the Canyons in Southern California. The state has been hit particularly hard by those trying to defraud the system. Last year, 34% of college applicants were likely fake, and those were the ones who were caught. A process made more difficult because some of the ghost students are actually completing some of the assignments.
These students can sign up for a class. They can use AI to submit a couple of essays or tests or whatever they're doing and get past the first semester.
Secretary of Education Linda McMahon told us measures have already been put into place to try to crack down and verify students are who they say they are.
In person, go to the college and show your ID, prove who you are. Or if you're going to do it remotely, it's very easy with today's technology to hold up a license or whatever your photo ID is next to your face. Do it on a Zoom call.
Jordan Burris, whose company SoCure Provides digital identity verification and helps to combat fraud, says the crime is being perpetuated by organized criminal enterprises from overseas.
You can pick China, you can pick Russia, you can pick North Korea, and even Eastern European groups as well. They're all focused in on finding ways to usurp the systems that exist today, manipulate the cracks, and ultimately take these financial aid dollars.
To what extent did this problem of ghost students sort of explode because of the huge rise in remote education, obviously due to the pandemic?
Remote education is the catalyst that blew this wide open. The reality is that the push towards remote and digital created the conditions that allowed foreign adversaries to accelerate their attack schemes and their plans, their patterns.
Patterns can include hundreds of applications coming from the same place in a 24-hour period. Addresses or phone numbers that don't match the given name. The information is sometimes made up and sometimes stolen with costly consequences.
Any idea how much money we're talking here?
Well, we've had estimates here that we believe it is probably as much as $1 billion.
Of taxpayer money.
Taxpayer money per year.
A different kind of fraud hitting colleges and universities. The plan to stop it now underway. For Spotlight on America, I'm Christine Frizzau.
Labor Day weekend has begun. That's something to be excited about. And TSA expects a record 17.4 million travelers to pass through U.S. airports. And for those of you hitting the road, here's what you need to know. AAA says the best time to drive tomorrow is from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Avoid any time right after 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. And Sunday travelers may want to start their trip before 11 a.m. and avoid driving from noon to 5. On Labor Day, try to leave before noon and avoid the hours of 1 to 4 p.m. Well, good news for your wallet. Many travel costs are down from a year ago, according to a AAA domestic round-trip flights are 6% cheaper than last Labor Day, averaging $720 per ticket. That's all the time we have for now. I'm Taylor Murray. Thanks for joining us.